Hi everyone, I'm Mama J. Today I would like to show you how to make these tea towel holders, kitchen towels. I've got two different styles that I like to make. One of them is a single ring, and then the other style, we've got two rings. So the two different styles. Right, this is the one with the button, and you can also use a wooden bead instead of a button if you like. You can pretty much use anything that you can sew to the yarn that's going to allow you to fasten this down. So for this one, the two ring, it's a little different. We're using fewer half double crochet into the ring, and then you've got two options to close this out. You can either work your last row of half double crochet into the ring and then use your tail to secure those half double crochet down, or you can just do a row of half double crochet, leave a really long tail, and then use double strands to sew around the edge of that ring. So just decide for yourself whichever is easier for you to do, but at the end of the video I will demonstrate both of those options for you. So for today's demo, we're going to do the single wooden ring. We're using a 4-inch wooden ring. I got these off of Amazon. I believe there's 10 for about $12.99. I'm using the Bernat Maker Home Deck yarn, and this one is the teal, but for today's demo I'm going to use the gold. This is an 8mm hook, but when I use the Bernat Maker I like to use a 6 because to me it just doesn't call for an 8. The stitches are just too loose and it just doesn't look right to me, so I've always just used a 6 when I use this yarn. For this one, I've just used a basic t-shirt yarn, and again the 4-inch wooden rings. And if you want to paint or stain to change the color and the look of these, just make sure you do that and you give them time to dry before you crochet onto that ring. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so I've sanded the inside of my ring down. The first thing you want to do is start a slip knot. So you're just going to put the yarn through. You're going to hold both strands. You're going to bring it around the back and then put it through that loop that you've made right there. And it makes a slip knot. So to get started, you want to put your hook underneath that slip knot that we made, and we're just going to draw up a loop. I like to use half double crochet to get it started. So you're going to yarn over, and this can be awkward. You're going to pull that around, yarn over, and then you're just going to pull through all of the loops. Alright, so for this pattern I'm putting 11 half double crochet on the ring. So that was 1, there's 2, there's 1, 2, and 3. Let's do one more and then I'll meet you at the end where we've got our 11 half double crochet. And so here's our 11th half double crochet. Just make sure you're keeping that tail tucked under anything you're doing on this first row. So there's our 11. I'm just going to pull my tail a little bit tighter here. For the next 5 rows, we're just going to do all double crochet. So we're going to chain 1, and we're chaining 1 because we're working in that first stitch here. We're going to do a double crochet, and double crochet all the way across. See, it's much easier once you get that starter row done. It's not as hard to get that hook in there. Getting around that wooden ring can be a little bit tricky. All right, we're coming up to the end here, and you want to make sure that you still end up with your 11. So let's go back and count. We've got our first one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Because see this end one down here? That can hide a little bit. So let's do number 10. And then number 11. So there's 1 of 5. We're going to turn and chain 1, and then just continue the double crochet, and use stitch markers if you want to keep track of how many rows that you're doing. All right, so I'm going to go ahead, if you want to pause the video, I'm going to do my next 4 rows, all of the double crochet. Make sure you still have 11, just like we started with here. This is not like a foundation chain. We're going to have 11 stitches each row that we do up to that 5th row. All right, I'm on my 5th row, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm just going to do my last double crochet here into this row. For the next row, we want to cut this down to 9 stitches. So we're going to do a double crochet at the first, and then we're going to do a decrease and do 1 double crochet into 2 stitches. Then we're going to do 5 double crochet. We're going to do another decrease and then end with a double crochet. All right, so let's turn our work and let's do our first double crochet. We're going to chain 1, double crochet into that first stitch. All right, to do a decrease, you're going to use 2 of the existing stitches and create 1 double crochet. So we're going to start like we normally would. We're going to yarn over, and we're going to insert into that next stitch. We're going to draw up a loop. So now we have 3 on our hook, and we're just going to pull through 2. So yarn over and pull through 2. Now we're left with 2. So we're going to yarn over, and we're going to find that next stitch, and we're going to insert our hook into that, yarn over, draw up a loop. So now we have 4 on our hook. We're going to yarn over, pull through 2, we're down to 3, and then yarn over, and we're going to pull through all 3. So now we've got 2, you look at the V's there on the top. We have 2 double crochet, but we've used up 3 stitches. So that reduces 1 stitch for this row. And then we're going to do the same at the other side. So that'll be our 2nd stitch reduction, and we will end up with 9 stitches. So now we're going to do our next 5 stitches is double crochet. And I'll stay with you to the end. We're not going to pause. We're going to get to the end where we have 3 stitches left. All right, so we're down to 3, 1, 2, and then the end one is 3. So now we're going to do another decrease. So we're going to yarn over, insert into that next stitch. We've got 3 on our hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through 2, or down to 2. Now we're going to yarn over, insert into that next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and then yarn over and pull through the remaining 3. So that's our next decrease. I don't like to decrease on the ends. I just prefer to do the decrease more either in the center of the row if we're just doing 1 per row, or if we've got 2 decrease in the same row, I don't do it as the end stitch. I go in at least 1 before I start my decrease. So now we're down to the last one, and we're just going to double crochet in there. All right, so that should be 9 stitches. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we've turned 11 into 9. Now we're just going to do 4 rows of the 9 double crochet. And if you'll notice on this one, see, we're just trying to taper in here so it doesn't hang over the edges when we attach our bead to secure that closed. All right, so we're turning, and then we're going to do chain 1, and then we've got 9 double crochet. Again, if you want to use stitch markers to keep track, or you just want to freely crochet until it's the size that you want it to be, this is just a basic pattern. You can use other stitches if you don't want to use a double crochet. If you want it tighter, you can use single or half double. If you want to go fancy, you could use a star stitch, or even a bobble stitch would look good. So really it's just anything, but I'm just giving you a basic pattern to give you an idea of how to make the tea towel holder. All right, so we're coming down to the end here, just have a few left. That's 1, and we need 3 more double crochet rows of 9 stitches. So pause the video, do the next 3 rows, and I will meet you back at the end. All right, so I've got my 4 rows of double crochet where we've got 9 across. I'm just doing my last one here. All right, so the next row, let me get out our sample here. Now we're going to start working on this little space for the button. All right, so we're going to turn our work. We're going to chain 1, and we're just going to single crochet into the next 3 stitches. So we're still using that very first stitch. We're going to single crochet. There's 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to skip these 3, but we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. So again, skip those 3, and then in the next one, we're going to single crochet. And then in the last 2, we're going to single crochet. All right, so turn our work. I'm going to chain 1. We're going to single crochet again in those first 3 stitches. All right, there's 3. Now, instead of crocheting into the chain, we're going to work around that space. We're still doing single crochet. So you're going to insert your hook into that space that we made with the 3 chains. You're going to do 1 single crochet, a second, and a third. All right, so now we've got our last 3 single crochets to do. So our last row, we're just going to do a single crochet all the way across. Turn, chain 1, and then just do 9 single crochet to finish this off. And then we'll sew on our bead and we'll be done. And our last single crochet. There is the tea towel holder. So now we're going to sew on, like I said, we're going to use the bead instead of the button for this pattern. So we just want to trim off our end here. And then just pull that through the loop and tie that off. And then we'll weave that end in. What I like to do with these, just take needle and thread, and after you've woven this through your piece, just take the last little bit of that tip and sew needle and thread around it. And then we'll do the same with this one. We're going to weave it backwards, and then the very, very end of this, we'll use needle and thread to sew it down. All right, so we're going to find where we need to be, and then we're just going to go ahead and bring that needle through, and we're going to feed it through our bead. We just want to make sure that there's enough to hold this on. So your first pass, you want to come in and you just want to tie this in the back. Just give it a good, nice, tight knot. And then we'll feed this in, and again, use the needle and thread to tie that down after we're done feeding that through. All right, so we're just going to find where we came through the first time. And just pop that right back through. Now what we can do, we're going to come back through, but I want to wrap this around. I want to just make sure that these strands are not going to allow this thing to come loose. So we're just going to wrap it around a couple of times. All right, so just feed it through so we can get back to the back. And we just want to do another good knot here just to finish that off. We're just going to weave these into the pattern. And then we're going to sew those tips with needle and thread. And there's our tea towel holder. Now let's go over finishing up row 10 for the double ring towel holder. First we're going to do the half double crochet into the second ring, and then we'll do the one where we finish off with a row of half double crochet, and then we're going to sew onto the ring. All right. So we've got our last row of double crochet, and we're going to turn our work, and we're going to do that chain 1 just like before. Now we're going to actually run the hook through the ring at the same time. So first we're going to go into our work, and remember this is a row of half double crochet, and don't try to keep it straight as you're doing it. You can tighten it up and squeeze it together as you go. Alright, so another half double crochet into that next stitch. You're going to go into the work, and then we're going through the ring and grabbing the yarn. And then just complete the half double crochet, and again into the next stitch. And going on into the next one, reaching through that ring, pulling that yarn through. I've got a few more half double crochet here. We're going through that ring again, grabbing the yarn. Got 2 more. And our last one here. Just got to keep everything nice and tight so the stitches aren't too loose. Alright, so let's go ahead and pull that up. Now we just want to kind of work this down and around to where that tightens up, and push those stitches as close to the rest of it as you possibly can. And you're just going to have to pull and stretch until that kind of falls into place. Okay, so there we go. And now you're just going to fasten this off, which I'm not going to do because I'm going to take it out and show you the other way. But we're going to fasten this off, and then you're going to take that tail, and then you're just going to work into the stitch top to bottom, and just go back and forth, back and forth. That's how you crochet into the ring. So now let's go ahead and take this out. We'll finish our row. We'll do a row of half double crochet, and then we're going to sew around that ring. So we've got our chain 1, and we're just going to do half double crochet across, and that's going to be 8 half double crochet. All right, and we're in our last one, so that's our 8th half double. Okay, and then we want to tie this off, but leave enough extra yarn that we're going to be able to sew this around that wooden ring. Okay, so just pull your strand through, and you're going to work into the stitches that we just finished. And you want to use 2 for each, because if you were crocheting, like here, you can see each half double crochet has multiple strands, so we want to try to match that as best we can. Okay, and back into the ring to that same stitch. And then the more you get in there and the tighter they get, this will start closing up like it does here. Okay, so just keep doing that. And I'm in the last one, so I'm probably going to do 3 here just to help fill that gap a little bit. And I'm just going to make sure it's all nice and tight and pushed together. There. And that's how you close it off, by using the needle and sewing it on instead of crocheting into the hook. And then you're just going to weave this in and then take that needle and thread and secure that tip. So I thank you all for watching, and until next time, have a great day.